Yeah. Okay. So I know that since setting up your school, you've been teaching yourself directly. You've had your Shifu come over and do workshops in London. You've taken your students to Wudang. Um, do you replicate the approach to teaching Wudang martial arts in China, in the UK? Do you do it the same way? Do you consciously make any different choices about how you teach beginners or more experienced students in the UK compared to how your Shifu might teach in Wudang?
I'd say up until quite recently, I just completely replicate it basically, or as much as I can, because I haven't got a whole day. So we can't stand stake for 45 minutes and then do 45 minutes of mud walking when people are training for an hour and a half to 2 hours a week. But I can take a 15-minute chunk out of that and it still represents to people, you know. So yeah, the traditional drilling of skills is at the core of the art and at the core of developing skill. And it's not something that people in the West necessarily take to that easily. You know, you're going over something again and again and again to become good at it. That limits your audience to people who are prepared to do that. But I have just accepted that and I have done that. So I get people who are into that way of training and therefore they become seriously skilled. Yeah. And then I'd say in the last year maybe, so now I'm teaching some, if I'm teaching an older group, say, I would modify it, but then Shifu will do that as well. I'd say more recently, I guess, so I've been doing this heart repair meditation course. So that is taking some of the Taoist observation meditation I've been taught by Shifu, and also some Buddhist meditation styles I've learned elsewhere. I put it together with some standing stake, and in that I'm probably presenting a bit more directly the results and the impact that this training can have on you than Shifu does. Yeah. So you tend to you go off and train and you find out for yourself, and that's what I've done. Yeah, I've just done it and done it and done it until something happens, and then I notate that. But for my students in this this course, most recently, I've been going, well, this is what can occur, and this is what can happen, and this is the process, probably a bit more explicitly than Shifu does. So just recently, I have started to make some changes in that regard.
Right. And then to think about the recent year or so, can you describe what happened for you this time last year as COVID-19 became a reality in the UK, as our way of life started to change? What was the process for you as an instructor in London?
Right. So I've been teaching somebody online in South Africa for over a year before this. So I felt reasonably well prepared, actually. And this is somebody who'd been a student of mine in person in the UK, moved back to South Africa, and then he came back for a retreat. He flew over for a retreat. And so I got to see in person and feel how the online training had impacted him. So we both got to go, right, this works, excellent. So that was quite a good platform to start on. And so I kind of saw it coming, and I rushed to get all the equipment in, everything in time, and to set up as quickly as possible. And that, yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah, it was intense. But I would say so in the way that I do teach some martial application, but it's a secondary aspect. We do a lot of standing, a lot of form work, and this online format is really hard to train the martial application stuff on. So Okay, lose that aspect. Or actually, I recorded some videos with my lodger, so I could show some of the martial applications and people can watch a video. So that's one way around it, but you haven't got that contact.
Your poor
And
lodger.
so yeah, he might have been a bit sore the next day, but we made some great videos.
Yeah.
And we so there's this, I do use touch a lot to teach. So I've had to really play out the verbal and the visual, which is where the lycra ended up coming in. I really wasn't expecting that after sort of 15 years of walking around in this modest Tai Chi gear to be, you know, going full lycra. Which I do on occasion, but basically I was making videos, and if I train, you know, do them in my full formal gear, you know, I've got some students who I look to for advice and feedback, and they were sort of saying, it's great, Lucia, but we can't really see what you're doing. So yeah, in my normal classes, I've got a lycra t-shirt, and in the tuition series I've just done, when you're really teaching, you know, when you're teaching beginners and people need to see, then it's got to be the full lycra. So that's been an unusual step, but it works. You've got to play into the visual as much as you can.
Yeah. And I remember you were quite early doors with your Shifu doing an online event. Was it in May last year? So were you in conversation with him about kind of, you know, was that a process within your community with him and your Kung Fu brothers and sisters, like we all need to kind of change how we do things here? Was he happy to do something online?
Well, Shifu actually a while back, when he was over in the UK, he took me to visit somebody, Yue Liming, who teaches Chen style up in Manchester. And he's, you know, he's a teacher, he's very advanced, he's been going for years and years and years, and he's got this, you know, this excellent setup for teaching online. And Shifu took me there and showed me all around that for a reason. You know, he's like, look at this. This is great what this person's doing. So I knew that Shifu was down, as it were, but at the same time, I kind of had worked out my system by then, and I wanted to show Shifu what I was doing basically, and how it worked. He'd done some of it with his French group, Wudang Gongdao. I was doing things slightly differently. And yeah, it was a good event. It does run differently though, and we've had to sort of change the format. So I'm planning to do some more events with Shifu soon. But we basically tried to run it like a normal workshop we'd run in the UK. Yeah, so we're talking sort of 5 hours training a day over 2 days. Online, that's tiring. It's tiring. So I think in future, and also we're dealing with an 8-hour time difference. So I think in future it's going to be, I think you can probably teach for max 3 hours or something like that in a day, or might do a week of morning classes, something like that. That's what I did for my last retreat, and that worked really well. So people can go on and go about their work days. So we've had to change the format. And we'll see how it goes for the next one. Within my Kung Fu family, different people had different ideas about training online. Some people didn't like it, didn't want to do it. And some people, you know, just maybe thought, okay, I'm going to leave it. Everything's going to come back to normal soon anyway. And then it hasn't quite been like that. So I think basically everybody's doing it now. Yeah, so everybody's doing it in their own way. It is different this lockdown to the previous lockdowns though.
Yeah, and it's been different for different people in different countries. So seeing that we're talking about your plans for online teaching going forward, do you want to tell us a little bit about what to expect over the next few months?
Sure. So I've got in the pipeline will be probably another workshop on the I Ching. So I did one on the 8 Tai Chi powers and the 8 trigrams of the I Ching. So there's going to be more along those lines, and also maybe a how-to I Ching workshop. Another event with Shifu, I need to discuss the parameters of that with him first. I think maybe a chi and creativity thing is in the pipeline at the moment, because what happened with the heart repair meditation, going into the standing stake Neigong, going into some Tai Chi or Qigong and some movement, and then from that it can be quite inspiring, and I found it a good process for my creativity. So I'm planning on doing one of those probably later on this month, and I think that's going to be a free event. At the moment, everybody is quite downbeat, you know, enthusiasm is kind of low, and I think at the moment people just need something, you know. So I've been giving out from the first episode of the series, I've been putting out little chunks of video, free bits here and there, or warm up or standing stake or breathing exercises, because people just need it. I think maybe things will take off a little bit more in March. Now I feel is kind of a quiet time to hold tight and hold firm with the people who have, you know, who are on the journey already, and then maybe develop more probably in the second half of February and March.
Great. And the link is below where to find out more information about your online activities going forwards.
Yeah. Oh, and of course there's the weekly Tai Chi and Qigong and everything as well. So
right. So you mentioned, and I agree with you, that right now in the UK at least things are feeling quite difficult. And I think that's shared in many countries around the world. And I wanted to kind of conclude with your thoughts on teaching students or coping yourself with training from a difficult place, from a challenge place, and that may be some of your students who may have had COVID or other health conditions or struggling with psychological distress. And what's been your approach to supporting people in a difficult place, wanting to find an incremental path to more consistent practice?
Yeah, I think the community aspect is important, and having that there and building into that whenever you can. So during each lockdown's a bit different in flavour, isn't it? But in the last lockdown, so when we were going into lockdown 2, the heart repair meditation course, that kind of daily practice of people and everybody being together really helped people as the nights were drawing in, and we were sort of looking at quite a difficult stretch ahead. So the community aspect is crucial. And in terms of, so it's sort of accepting that people have their own schedules and their own way of working, especially the people that are homeschooling and working at the same time. That is such a difficult path. So providing material that people can study in their own time and in their own way, and then providing support with that. So that was part of the idea behind creating the series, to cater for all those people who can't come along regularly on a Tuesday and Thursday. And I guess it's also just being okay with doing a little, being okay. There can sometimes be this quite macho approach to training, and that can be great fun. And I do that sometimes, where you're like, oh, I'm going to do this for this long, and I'm going to tough it out and all of that. But sometimes you really just need ease, and to do just a little is better than doing none at all, you know, and create that ease for yourself within your own practice. I think go easy with yourself, and stick with the people, stick together with the people on your journey. You know, the days are getting longer, the light is lengthening, and we'll be out the other side of this soon enough.
Wise words. Thank you, Shifu. That's been really useful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us today.
You're most welcome, Giles, and best of luck to your students.
Thank you.